Hi there, and welcome to the Concept 101 podcast. My name is Daniel.
Stefan.
And Jules.
We are three concept artists working in the games and film industry, as well as the organisers of the Concept 101 event in London. In today's episode, we'll mainly be discussing work from home versus in-house. So I think the first thing to talk about here is what are your guys' experiences of working from home versus in-house? Because I think we have quite a nice variety of stuff going on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, we all started during pandemic, which had an impact.
I feel like it's going to become a really major topic on this podcast.
Yes.
So we're going to forever be talking
I'm
about.
sure you haven't heard about the pandemic enough.
Yeah, because we all started not so far away from it. Sorry, not time-wise, not so far away from each other.
Yeah.
But So did you start in the office, Stefan? Because you've done the most in-house work out of all of us, I think.
I started working from home on the 11th of January.
Okay.
And Jules, you started...
I started working from home. I've been working from home pretty much during my whole career. I've been to the office a few times. Because, literally a few times. I mean, I just started a new job at Frame Store. And it's mainly from home because it's a small department. Yeah. And I love it from home. It's great. Also, they have some review system which works very well as well. I'm not going to go too much into detail about that. And then before that, I've been in practice. The office they have is in Cardiff, so I was also working from home. And I went to the office maybe 2-3 times for like a week, which was awesome. I'll talk more about that later. But yeah, so a bit of a mixed experience, but mostly from home targeted.
Yeah, I did for the first year that I was working. It was all work from home, which was a little bit weird because when I graduated university, I'd moved flat. So then I was finishing up my university degree and then starting to work, and there was no visible change in my life to there was no marker of yes, my life has moved on. But I work mixed at the office, so we go in 2 days a week, which is actually perfect for me, and I'll kind of talk about why I like that later. But so I've had quite a lot of experience in the office now, which has been really great. But I still do work from home, and I think there's lots of advantages to doing that. On that kind of note of stuff, I mean, Stefan, I feel like you're best equipped to kind of maybe give a quick rundown of working in the house,
so
because you're probably you like it the most, I think.
Yes,
out of all of us.
So I started working from home, and we worked from home for 6 months at Sharkmob, and then we moved to roughly 3 times a week in the office and twice a week at home, and then has been that has been the schedule for the next year and a half, and it's still the same.
But there was a period where you were in house full time.
There was time when I was going in house more just because I wanted to. So you can go 5 times a week if you want to.
Yeah.
And I was going a lot more. I think every day. Most weeks I was going every day because I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed waking up in the morning and having the separation between my personal work at home, whatever I was doing, personal work, and then at work it's in the office, and I liked interacting with the people. It was a lot of fun, and also you have to understand I had a very different experience. I had a very unique experience as well compared to most people that start, because Sharkmob was quite a small company. It was a big company. It was small in London, big in Sweden. So it's a fairly big office in Sweden and a lot smaller office in London. And it was this one room, when everyone knew each other. Everyone was interacting with each other, building a game. It was a lot of fun. And then we've grown beyond that, and we bought an office at 180 Strand, which is an awesome office, by the way. And so we moved to a lot bigger space, so big that we right now we are not even taking up 1/4 of it or something like that.
It looks amazing. I mean, I haven't been there, but hearing from what you thought about it in private, it looks very cool.
Yeah. So with all this stuff, this was all very influenced by the pandemic. Sorry to bring it up again, but I think when we were all studying, the idea of working from home what didn't really even exist. I mean, unless you were freelance.
It was a luxury.
Yeah.
I remember I was telling like my parents or my girlfriend, like when I'm like my plan, you know, like later in the industry I would be freelance because you know, you get more famous as you work, more clients, more contacts, all that. And I would be like, oh yeah, later in my life I'm gonna be freelance. I'm gonna be like making X amount of money doing freelance and allowing me to work from home, to work only a certain amount of days and all that stuff. And it really felt like the end game for me because I really like being at home. So I'm very happy. I'm very happy now. But so, you know, I was like, oh yeah, great. Like the end game for me is just chilling at home, meeting my friends before after work. Also, you know, when you work from home, you can still have contact with work people.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, it was like this very hard thing to achieve.
Yeah.
That only like big names,
Like Craig Mullins movie,
Craig Mullins,
Hawaii,
Mache,
kind of thing.
Jama, all these people, like very big dudes, achieving mid-end career.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Probably mid is my career. I don't think any of those people have stopped working that we just mentioned. So they've got a while longer.
yeah. No offense.
You know what I mean?
I don't want to make enemies.
Jules is going, it's the end of their career. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy, right? Because this just wasn't a thing a few years ago. And now it's like, I mean, it's amazing that within like a 2 to 3 year period, how ingrained it's become into the conversation of hiring now, where,
Yeah.
you know, it's an essential part of negotiations. How many days are you in the office? How much do you work from home? Do you even have your own desk in the office if you are going in? You know, this kind of stuff.
And
And
security reasons, there's loads of things. Very, very complicated stuff as
And
well.
it's crazy because, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I always, for all of the years that I was studying as a student concept art, I always imagined that, hey, we're going to be in the office. I'm going to be hanging out with people. I will be moving around departments and stuff. And then when it came to be, like, that's just not the case for, I mean, nearly nobody, I think, that we know works full-time in the office. I don't think I can think of a single person who works full-time anymore
That's true.
in the office. I mean, obviously they work full-time, but, you know, work from home as well. So yeah, I mean, what do you think about that? Because for me, it was a really, it was kind of a big shock eventually when it like settled in that like this was how the industry would be moving forward.
Yeah.
I guess the world as well. But
Yeah. Especially the job we're doing is working very, very well with working from home.
yeah,
Very well.
Yeah. I think, as you said, Jules, like you really enjoy it, and I think I didn't. So I mean, initially, yeah. So I worked, and a lot of us we just worked from home for 6 months when I started because you couldn't go to the office. It was you couldn't because of the law. Well, no,
because of the law.
no, but that's how it was. It was pandemic.
right,
You shouldn't be going around and so we all worked from home. And I think when I joined the office, I realized how much more I enjoy it personally, just seeing people. And yeah, it was, I think I expected that everyone would be committed as well to going to the office more. And in the beginning, it was really not compulsory because and I was going a lot, and some people were going a lot, and we built a lot of strong connections, and we talked a lot. And I think that's why I became like a big part of the office because I was there a lot. And
also you're a very big guy,
yeah,
so that's why you became a big part of the office.
yeah. There was a lot of
They
There's
built
always
a
jokes
pillar
about
around
me.
you, so you
Yeah,
support the building.
They built the building around you, Stefan. We're actually,
They put a desk and then they were like, okay,
yeah.
the building is gonna be here.
yeah.
So I think nah, I get that. So I don't know what my point would be about this. Is there any like concrete?
I don't know. I was kind of thinking more about pillars being built on you. Honestly, that's kind of where my brain started to go.
Anyway, I liked it,
Nice meeting.
I have to say me and you, Dan, like we.
Don't lump me in with whatever you're about to say. I've got my own opinions.
All right, I think when I'm next to an artist, it's a lot easier to get feedback from them.
Yeah, I will agree with that. Yeah.
At least from my personal experience, I'm sure there are people with whom it works really well when you are working from home. But when you are in the office, you can just tap someone on the shoulder. They can look at your work quickly, and it's just a 10-minute conversation that can improve your work. And when you are from home, they need to message them, and then they need to have a time
Well,
to
I mean,
call you.
before you go too far into it, I think let's just, because we kind of already started discussing it, like what are the good and the bad of like just work from home, and then we can do it in-house after. But like, I mean, one big thing for me from working from home is just the total lack of separation between my normal life and work. You know,
As a bad thing.
yeah, is that a good thing for you?
Yes.
Just like I live for my work.
I think it just depends how you tackle it and how easy you can just make space yourself.
I think the advantage for you, because we're sitting in Jules's flat right now,
Yes.
actually, is that you have multiple like spaces, and you know you can have a little bit more separation. Whereas
You have as well.
no, but like my desk is in my bedroom.
That's true.
You know, and so it's like it becomes a very all-encompassing thing. And I think it's the case for a lot of people because you know it's that thing of like, well, all right, we do have like common area in the flat where me and Stefan live with our other flatmate, but I can't just stick my desk down there. You know, it's like people need to use the kitchen, people want to sit down and watch some TV and chill out. So it's a case of, you know, that's where it kind of has to go unless you have a really nice place, which, you know, fair enough if you do. But yeah, you know, it's that thing of like, I guess, going to bed at night and seeing the computer there. Do you know what I mean? Or like
It's like rendering. It's like,
yeah.
and you're like, is it rendering? And you just click
And you,
it. and like,
you probably
didn't
wouldn't
crash.
mind it, or would you? I don't know. Would you mind it even if you were just going to the office and then you were doing your personal work? Would you still mind it if your PC was at your?
I don't know. I mean,
Like if you had all the amount of money, would you actually have?
I mean, I think I would
separate
have an
work?
office.
Yeah,
I would
you
have a
would,
separate office room with my computer in.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like sometimes it becomes a bit much because also like, you know, I'm quite a highly motivated person when it comes to making artwork, and I really, you know, it's like my hobby as well as my job. And part of the problem for me is I think that like sometimes I you know, you work all day, and then when I think about like if I'm not going to like hang out with people, I'm not hanging out with you guys, or I'm not doing anything, or I'm not going out for dinner with somebody, or whatever you do in the evening, right? Then I'm going to paint, and sometimes it can be difficult to sit back down at the chair that you've been sitting at all day already to do more, you know, because it starts to feel a little bit claustrophobic in a way.
I remember when I started at Sharkmob, I even made a thing where I would have a browser like Google Chrome for my personal. I would be like, okay, I now use Google Chrome because it's my personal work time.
yeah.
And then I would use Microsoft Edge. I know no one uses Microsoft Edge, but I was like, I'm just gonna use Microsoft Edge for
Sounds
work.
like a pain.
It still works.
Don't criticize Stefan and his
I
things.
still do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have any issues with that personally.
Really?
Yeah, I don't.
Can I ask though?
I don't feel.
Do you feel like that's because you do a little bit less personal work in your own time?
I mean, less than you, yes.
Yeah.
Less than Stefan, I'm not sure. Less than other artists, I'm not sure either. So,
But this is what I'm saying. Is like if you were,
If I were-
because often I might paint for like another 3 hours after work or like 4
I mean,
hours.
that's what I did yesterday. Yesterday, I finished work and I
Yeah.
was feeling happy at what I was doing, so I just continued working for another, you know. And
I
like,
guess,
and like, so
yeah.
and then I.
I'm not saying it's like a
So,
cut and dry
yeah.
thing where it's always the case.
It's no. For me, I mean, I don't know. I think it's more like maybe the mindset I have, which is good or bad. I don't know. But I don't really feel the struggle with okay, I'm at work or I'm not at work. Like it's not something that bothers me.
I just think sometimes,
So-
like I said, it's just the lack of change. It's it's sitting down,
Every day.
especially if like you know you have good and bad days at work, and like you're saying you had a good day at work, and it's like I think sometimes you know if I have had a like less than ideal day at work, which happens right everywhere, then when I sit back down, those emotions are still there because I had those emotions in that exact space.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. This I can see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I have a bad day at work, or like this an annoying painting or something. I don't know, something that doesn't go as planned or as I would like it to go. Yeah. Then it's like 6. Okay, I finish work and I'm still in front of the same computer
Yeah.
and I'm gonna do something else. But it takes me like a few hours to get out of the frustration if there is.
Yeah.
If there is. Yeah. But would that be very different if it was? If
Yeah,
you would have
I would
to?
say for sure.
Yeah,
It's-
it was.
I mean, when I work from the office and I have like, sometimes let's say there was something really stressful, I was trying to get something done, and then I walk to home. I'm one of those lucky people who pays insane rent, but I do walk home back from work, and that 25-minute walk, it does it for me.
Yeah.
I just like everything, and then I get to home, I close the door, and my work is behind me. Everything at home is just home.
Gives you time to decompress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And also, I think getting it outside can also be really helpful. I think sadly, a lot of commutes involve sitting in a train with crowded people, which is not so pleasant. But like, yeah, if you have a commute where you're able to walk, like me and Stefan do, it's nice because it's a bit of fresh air. Like literally,
if I was able to walk to the office,
yeah, you could. It would just take.
I would be. I could walk for 2 hours.
Yeah.
No. So
If you get up early enough, if you,
I love the office. It's great.
Yeah.
People are great. Like I would, without a problem, spend my time there.
Yeah.
It would be great. The only thing that annoys me, like that stops me to do that,
you hate people.
no, is that I just end up losing so much time, spending so much more money, and for food, for transportation,
Yeah.
and like I can wake up at,
Yeah.
you know, I don't do that every day, but I can wake up at 8:50, have a coffee, go on my desk, start at 9. great morning, you know, I'm fresh as I am, like just happy. It's just morning, you know. Or I can wake up at 7:30, take the tube for like 35-40 minutes, pay like £3 for it, get to the office, and that's like an hour and a half of my sleep and of my day gone. And then for lunch, I'm also gonna have to pay like, I don't know, £15,
You just pack your lunch.
or pack my lunch, and then it's again, you know, I finish at 6 or maybe, I don't know, 6:30, another 30 hours.
30 hours. Well, you really are doing
That's
long
how long it
days.
feels. 30 minutes of tube. So it's not like, it's not annoying to do. I wouldn't mind doing it a few times per week, right? But yeah, I mean, it's just that when you're used to work from home and you don't have these elements, when you have to actually do those efforts, it just feels a bit pointless.
I mean, how do you feel then about like learning as from work from home? Because I can say, I feel like, I'm just gonna say this, like I'm gonna say this authoritatively. All right, I feel like it's like objectively easier to learn in the office, and I think you do learn more because of the ease of communication that you have. I think when you're working online, no matter how good the system is, because I think like we've discussed like privately the different systems that we use to like get feedback and stuff, but I don't think that it's as easy as just walking over to somebody and having a conversation, especially when that person can then, you know, pick up your stylus and draw on your whack-a-mole board and stuff. And I think it's
Fully agree, yeah.
Yeah.
Fully agree with that. I think it's just how you adapt as well. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, yeah, I would probably learn and do less mistakes or just get things right faster if I was next to someone else working.
Yeah.
And if I have to be fully honest, I never went to the office. Actually, I did went to the office in Cardiff, and I was working with one of my colleagues at the time.
Yeah.
And he did help me a lot, and it was great, right?
Yeah.
I guess since I worked for so many, I mean not so many, for such
You
a long
work from
time
home for ages,
from home,
yeah.
maybe I'm used to messaging people, asking questions, going on calls, and yeah.
I mean, no, you go on.
So I would say, I just want to throw in something about video games. I think working from home for video games is worse than working from home for movies because making video games is a very collaborative effort, and oftentimes you'll spend your time talking to designers, you know, sometimes the directors, depending on whatever the structure is, how the people make games. So we're talking to designers, environment artists, you know, character artists, animators. You need to make sure that everyone is synced in, and sometimes those people want to stop at your desk to see what you're doing, so they can like give you some feedback or so they can check and be like, oh yeah, this is what they're doing, so I'm gonna make sure I include it in my work. And I feel like with video games, that's very, very crucial to get it right, and it's a lot more difficult to make a video game when you are not in the office and when you don't have this collaboration going. Like,
I think that's part of learning. Like, I think it's just harder to. I mean, my personal thing is like I have a feeling that one of the big like trends we'll see in concept art over the next, I don't know, 5 years or so, is that you'll have a lot of juniors coming into companies who struggle to get up to speed because they're only working from home. I think that like it's just I mean, maybe I just sound like a boomer, but like it's a more like natural way of communication to actually be person to person with people it's that thing of like not having to book a meeting to talk to someone. Do you know what I mean?
I support that fully.
Yeah, me too, for sure.
And I really do think like, there needs to be a good blend, because work from home has loads of really amazing benefits to it. But if it's not used in conjunction with office learning, then I don't know, whatever, you know what I mean? It's not used in conjunction with that, then people develop at a slower rate, I think, personally. And I would say that I think if I wasn't getting time in the office, I would also develop slower than I have been, because I think it's just so it's just so great to be able to talk to people and to be inspired by what, like you said, like watching what they're doing and going hey, how did you do that? Because you don't get to do that when you're online, you know. I can turn around, like I will walk around the office multiple times a day and see what everybody is doing, and I'll ask them questions. I'll say, how did you model that? How did you paint that? What were you thinking? And that in itself is a learning experience.
I think it also depends a lot of how companies adapted to that. Some companies would be very well adapted to working from home, and you would get a good chunk of the benefits from the office while being from home.
I think
feedback, being able to chat with someone whenever you want, people being open and all that. Like this is something I was able to have. And then other experience as well, where it was a bit less the case. It was more like people working on each on them on their own side, and then you don't talk too much. I mean, it didn't feel wrong at the time, but yeah, there is levels of how good it can be and how bad it can be.
Yeah.
I think though, like it's the in between planned time that is often the most beneficial for learning when you're actually in house. Like it's like you might have meetings with people and stuff, right, which you organize and you all talk about feedback, but it's actually the times in between where like you stand up to take a stretch and you see someone doing something and you like lock into that, and that can often be a very important learning experience. Like there's been many times in the office where I've just looked over to one of my colleagues' computers and just been like, oh, how'd you do that? What is that? And they'll explain it, and I'll be like, that will inspire me for like the rest of the week to be like, oh, that's amazing how they did that. Like I want to try that. I want to learn that technique, whatever it may be.
Yeah, for sure. I think it is a lot easier to not have it planned. I mean, when I worked for SharkMob, we tried all sorts of stuff, and we also had like some meetings where we'd be like, oh yeah, we're gonna give each other feedback, and it just never really worked out as it is in the office. I mean, it's also like in the office, some people are maybe a little bit more shy, and you need it to be like a natural thing to happen. So the more you're in the office, the more you get to know each other, the easier it is for these like natural like feedback sessions. And once you like, I know Dan really well and he knows me, and we give feedback on each other's personal work all the time, but we know each other and we know it works for us. But if I don't know someone for 2 years, like I know if we worked from home to, let's say, on the same project, and we were like working in different house, like we lived together. So let's say we didn't live together.
Let's say we lived together but never saw each other.
Yeah,
the bonds are deeper. Yeah, of course. Like if you meet someone and you go to eat with them, you just get to know someone way better.
But what I'm saying is like we could manage that and still get a lot of feedback out of this, like out of us working together, because we know each other.
Yeah,
we know how to get feedback. We know how to do this. We know each other really well. But unless you have that kind of like relationship with someone, I think that just doesn't really work.
I would say, since we're still talking, about work from home, like one of the big advantages of work from home, which is unrelated, sorry, to what we've been talking about, but it really allows you to have a slightly better balance to your life, I think. Being able to, if you've got a render going for 10 minutes, to be able to go and deal with a chore that you need to do, or having a little bit more freedom about when you eat your food, even, and stuff like that. It can be really great, and I think it's a really positive thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of nice things. As well. I work in my living room, for example, which is fine, but I also live with my girlfriend, and sometimes she's off when I'm not off. So like, there's lots of stuff that could also be annoying because you work from home,
Sure.
or stuff that could go well, and it's clearly not all good or all bad. But then I guess you just balance them and like adapt.
I say one other thing I really like about working from home is like I have my own library of books and stuff, and like my own sketchbooks and things, and like
got your own PC as well.
I definitely get more work done
equipment.
Personally when I work from home.
Yeah,
I would say.
I think it can allow you to focus in sort of ways, but like like I said, I like a blend. But yeah, one thing I really enjoy is when I'm working on a project at work and I'm like, oh, I've got an art book that's similar to that, and being able to go downstairs and sit by myself for 5 minutes away from the computer to look at stuff. Which sometimes I do at work, but it's a little bit more difficult because of the office setting.
Just
but,
run home.
I could just run home.
Look
From
at
the
a
office,
book,
you're
yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
But
You guys definitely are an advantage because you live very close to your offices.
Yeah,
Which removes
yeah.
and everything that annoys me about working for
But
the
it's
office,
a
right?
yeah, but it's a choice.
If I could
let's
walk
just
to the
everyone know
office,
on the
I would-
podcast that's a choice. We choose to pay that much money, so we can.
yeah,
work.
London's
Yeah.
rent is
Also because you guys knew you would have to go to the office, right?
yeah. that's
Like
true.
if now they tell me you have to go to the office 3 times a week or whatever, which I would gladly accept, but I would probably
Yeah.
choose another flat when it's time to choose a flat. moves,
I mean, yeah, it's an interesting thing. I mean, so what do you think are the good and bad things for in-house? I mean, obviously we've kind of spoken about some of the good stuff, like that it's easier to be trained and things. I would say another really great thing about being in-house. I feel like I'm just simping really hard, but somebody's got to simp for the other side of this conversation.
Hey, I like being in house.
I think
Yeah,
I think we're both very positive for both options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think like one great thing about in-house is networking. Like getting to meet people from different departments, having a better understanding of like the processes. Like if you just work in the concept art department, you're often very, very isolated from the rest of the process, especially in films, because you're almost like outside of the film pipeline.
Yeah, yeah. And like everything you work on, no one can see.
Yeah.
Even the people in the VFX house.
Yeah. But it's really nice that when I'm in the office, we'll have like visitors from other departments. We have another department nearby. I'll get to meet people who other colleagues know. And that has really helped me get like a broader understanding of the film industry, because I know more like, I don't know, like what it's like to deal with other people's jobs and have a better understanding of like when somebody asks me like, hey, can you export this as like this kind of thing? Rather than just being like, oh, why are they asking me this? Like, it's easier to understand that because I know those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean to also say good stuff about in-house. In my previous job, the office were in Cardiff, in the same place where they actually shoot movies, studios and stuff. So it was awesome because like you would just go to work on designing a set or something or prop, and then you would go upstairs to the show art department, which is the people that basically design. It's more like the architectural designs and more of the props design, and they would just build it, and then you just can go to one of the studios and you just see something you designed a few months ago, which they made real. And it's like 20 meters tall. It's like insanely cool.
Yeah.
And like you felt it was such a good feeling, and it was such a nice and rewarding feeling to be able to do that, And this is something like I would love to do that every day. And like also like recently I went to meet all my new colleagues at Frame Store at the office, and the office looks amazing, and like the people are great as well.
Office.
So like it's like the space, like you almost feel it makes you more creative because you're surrounded by cool place. Everyone is doing the same goal, like you're not just by yourself at home. And like I think the office space and the mood is really
It's doing a real 180 right now, Jules.
yeah, because I like both, right? Like both have good stuff.
Yeah, I think we at the end we can talk about like the benefits of working from home partially and then working.
Stop reading ahead on my notes, Stefan.
I don't even have it in front of me, man. I'm just guessing. Yeah. So I would also say working from the office is something that's quite difficult to get right sometimes. To like, I'm just talking from my personal perspective. I know how much time it went into like figuring out how to make the office setup at Sharkmob so it was effective. So it, and I think it was very difficult for them to make sure that everyone was happy, that the desk space was what everyone wanted in the new office. Obviously, in the very first small office, it was like cramped, but it was that. I think that was also like a little fun. It's like the fun memory that you have of sitting right next to your colleague, like barely having any space, but like working away on the stuff that you enjoy, and like being able to just like be like, yo, come have a look at this concept, and like they just like walk 10 meters and they're next to your desk and you can chat about it. Whereas in a bigger space, it's been more difficult. But
You have to walk 50
I mean, Shark, to be
meters,
honest,
take 5 elevators.
you've seen Shark Mob. If I want certain people, if I want to speak with them, I have to walk like quite some time until I get to their desk. But they haven't
That's
set
good.
up.
That's your cardio.
Yeah, there's a lot of walking. But I mean, I think the Shark Mob office is set up very nicely. It's it allows us to still communicate within the immediate like group of people that we talk to, and then the people that are working on our things a little bit further away, we can just walk there. And it's still quite an open space. But yeah, I think your working in the office experience will be different depending on what the office is like as well.
I would say a positive and a negative of working in the office also is, I guess, like having to deal with somebody else's setups, right? Like you're never going to get your computer in the office. You're never going to get your perfect setup of staff. Even like your key bindings might be different. And it can take a little bit of a time to really get used to it. I know that at least from between when I work at home versus when I work in the office, I use totally different techniques because of like things that are available to me. And I'll use different software, I'll use different methodology, I'll plan things differently as to how long they take. But that's kind of like, for me at least, that's like part of the fun. I really enjoy being, I don't know, being forced to do different stuff, I guess, in a way. It's probably why all of my work kind of ends up like not quite at the quality level I like, because I'm always like, I'll do something wildly different that I've never done before, rather than, I just need to become like a guy who only does sci-fi images or something, and then finally we can get some crispy stuff. I think another thing, like you said, is the commute. I mean, we're really lucky that we don't have to, me and Stefan don't have to deal with the commute, but generally there's a really weird noise coming out of the walls right now. That's a disadvantage of working from home, is that Jules has to listen to, I guess, like a ghost or a rat in your walls.
No, it's just the tap doing a gloop gloop with water or something. It doesn't do it often. I mean, yeah, honking. Like people, like no joke, people sometimes they just honk for 20 seconds nonstop. Like just beep like nonstop. And I'm on calls and I'm like, well, someone is just having a mental breakdown outside, or like people shouting and stuff.
That's what the mute button's for. That's why you always gotta have your finger on the mute button.
Well, thankfully, my mic, which is the same one we were using for the recording, is quite good. So it just removes them. But I had some awkward moments. I was like, did you guys hear? Like
you're literally
fighting
asking for us to get comments being like, no, the audio quality isn't that good actually. When you're being like, yeah, our mics are pretty good.
Well, that's what we're gonna use. So deal with it. But yeah. Also, I just thought about something random.
Yeah.
I really like music, as I think probably every human does.
True.
And I got myself very nice speakers. And whenever I'm not working at home, I'm like, I just want to listen to very loud music with my very nice speakers. And
yeah, the days when I forget my headphones at the office are like, I don't want to say brutal. It's not that bad, but it's just like, I'll be sitting there, I'm like, God, I want to listen to some music right now. And yeah, I've just have a few times I've just forgotten my headphones, and I'm like, I guess it's going to be a quiet day. I'm going to sit there silently and just not listen to anything.
It's just overall comfort, I guess.
Stefan just loves silence.
I don't listen to music when I work. Yeah.
How do you feel?
Sometimes
How do you feel about when we're both working from home and I'm blasting music?
I actually enjoy that.
Pain and hate.
We
pretty much every day living with you.
No, we haven't.
It's also the name of the album I listen to every day.
We haven't had that recently, but I think it's always kind of cool. Like, because I know that you're working as a concept artist, like on your shit, and I'm working on mine, and I like it when you have some music and just. I know we are not working on the same things at all, obviously, because you're in the movie industry. But I just find it cool. I just find it like, yeah, Daniel's working, I'm also working, and then it's like this. I don't know. It's
and then I go into Stefan's room and he's lying on his bed, not working.
Yeah.
Stefan's a very hard-working young man.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, it is nice. I mean, occasionally we listen to a bit of like thrash metal or something, really loud.
Actually, comment about the laying in bed. I would say.
My lawyer.
No.
Is he here?
No. I would say when you are in the office, and so it doesn't happen to me as much right now, I guess. But like, I think I used to also get very, very tired, and sometimes I hate taking naps. I never take naps, but sometimes I need like a break to just like lay. And in the office we have a sofa where I sometimes would do that. I would just like lay. I would just lay on the sofa and be like, look, I need a break, and I would close my eyes and think about the design. I really enjoy sometimes to just like go through the iterations in my head as I like imagine them, especially when I was doing hard surface design. That was
8
very
hours
helpful.
later, you wake up.
Yeah.
No, I
to
don't
go home.
I don't.
Dude,
I hate naps. I cannot. Like, I really would. I would rather just push through.
I
like,
admire
not falling
you so
asleep.
much getting like public excuses on a podcast for why you go to sleep at work. I mean, this is just like
I don't go.
this is probably the coolest thing you've ever done.
I know. I don't go to sleep to work. At work, but I do think that it's nice.
Also, doing
at
it-
home, there's like
No,
a
no, no,
comfort-
no,
there's
no.
a comfort
Even
of
cooler. It's
taking a
even
break.
cooler doing it in the office in front of them. You know?
Yeah.
That's what makes it really cool.
It doesn't matter how much you sleep at work. What matters is that you get the job done.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then you do it on time and do it well, and the people are happy,
Yeah.
and they're willing to pay you for it.
I spend a lot of
So-
time when I'm at work in the office stretching. I will stand up. It's something that people have commented on in the office before. I'll stand up and
Yeah,
I'll like
they-
stretch because
Do that
like
as well.
yeah, because you have to like be active and like moving. And when I'm not in my house, like when I'm in my house, I'll go downstairs to get some
Yeah,
water. I'll
yeah.
move around. I'll like find reasons to move. But yeah, I mean, I'll just stand up and walk around and stretch and do whatever. Hopefully, it's not too distracting to everybody else I work with. But you know, have a little wander here and there. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think one of those things that you have to realize when you're working is like, yeah, you need to. Everybody needs like little breaks intermittently, right? You can't just sit down and work for 8 hours straight. As much as I'm sure everybody who we work for would love that, but you just can't do it. So it is. I guess I think one good thing about working from home is it's nice to be able to do that yourself. Like at home, if you want to take a 5-minute break, you could go and do some press ups or something.
Yeah.
Bit weird if you do it in the office. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe not for Stefan. I feel like you would totally do that
Yeah,
since you're
people
sleeping in the office anyway.
People would find it, dude. Like, no, people would find it weird.
Everybody would be cheering.
I'm
They'd
still
go,
like,
1, 2, 3.
yeah.
yeah.
And then they give you a beer.
Since I don't drink, when we had a beer pong competition, I still wanted to participate. So I would just do push-ups if I.
So you.
instead of
So
drinking.
you have that.
Yeah. So that was the first time I met everyone from Shark Mob, like face to face. That was like, I don't know if I can talk about it now. No, what I mean, like now during the podcast.
Nothing illegal, please.
I,
No,
sleep,
it's
I
not
sleep
illegal.
at work and we do beer pong.
No, but like, so when I'll just tell the story. Like when we met for the first time with everyone from the office, because we worked for 6 months from home, it was such a surreal experience meeting, like seeing how tall people are. We had so many,
yes.
we had so many tall people that I didn't realize were tall.
That is
shit.
so weird. There's the first time I met everybody at my office, I completely, because I had met them before I started working, but I'd completely forgotten how tall they were. And then like, it's really weird because like you meet some people like they'll be shorter than they are, but then you see them and they're like 6'3", and then you meet other people like they're really tall and they're like 5'4".
I'm that guy. Every
You're
time
that
I
guy.
meet someone,
Jules is
they're like,
5'4".
no. I'm 6'3", and so every time someone meets me from like online background, I say,
Yeah.
it's always the same. Like, oh, you're so tall. I'm like, yeah.
I think that's
one.
because you look like a Skyrim dwarf kind of thing going on, you know, with like the beard. You got like the gingery beard and stuff.
Yeah.
You look like you should be mining for ore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in Swiss.
Yeah.
Swiss,
is Swiss
living in a
famous
mountain.
for mining for ore.
Well,
I
Swiss,
guess you live in mountains.
Swiss are famous for being in mountains, digging
And gold.
digging bunkers and gold. So
Yeah.
literally, Swiss are the dwarfs of planet Earth.
Yeah,
So,
and if you're going to take a takeaway from this episode, it's that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Swiss,
I'm a 6'3" dwarf.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take it.
And
What are you, Steph?
Well, I'm
Slovakian.
Slovakian. Yeah, we I don't know.
It doesn't need more.
Just we are the humans of the Lord of the Rings.
What are the English then? With the villains? We're all Sauron.
You're from Mordor. So when we met for the first time, and then it was really cool experience, like seeing everyone interacting and chatting. And I met Richard, I think that time as well, because he worked for Sharkmo before, so that was kind of cool. So being like, wow, seeing someone who I admired for a long time, and then I don't know, what I was gonna say, I just wanted to say that it was cool meeting everyone after the 6 months. It was kind of surreal.
I mean, I think that is a great thing to, just when you meet people for the first time, it's really lovely. And also, I guess it's a weird thing because before that wasn't a thing. Like I said, 3 years ago, that was not a thing. Like, if you were like, oh yeah, the first time I met all my colleagues, it was a really wonderful experience. People would be like, well, why didn't you meet your colleagues? You know what I mean? But now it's just like a common thing. Like, you get to know your colleagues online before you meet them. Everybody we're all online pen pals with each other now, pretty much. Even if we live in like the same city, which is insane. But
Yeah.
so what do you guys actually like? I think we probably actually all have the same answer to this. My answer is a mix. I like. I think what I have at work at the moment is really great, which is 2 days in the office, 3 days at home. I wouldn't mind if it was 3 days in the office and 2 days at home either. But I'm very happy with that setup.
I think a mix would be good as well, personally.
Yeah.
Or a mix, but I don't know. I'm thinking out loud. Maybe it's gonna be a bad idea. Let's say like 1 week from home, and then 1 week at the office. I just feel like if you change, it might be because I'm not used to do a mix, but I feel like if you change often, you're kind of always off balanced. You never have the time have time to settle somewhere, right?
I like to live on the edge. I'm not even joking. It genuinely I kind of enjoy the fact that you're always like a little bit on edge. That might just be because I'm a psychopath, but yeah, it's like I don't really. I mean, it adds like an additional challenge to things for me, and that's like a big thing for me. Is like when I'm working, I like to be challenged.
Yeah.
And even if it's a challenge of like having to readjust to a new environment again, that's great. I like it.
Yeah, or like. Yeah, I mean, maybe like one project you do a lot at home, another project you're gonna do it to the office.
Yeah.
I have no clue. Obviously, probably bad idea, but yeah, I think a mix would be good. It's probably healthier as well.
Stefan's pulling a weird face.
I had a stupid joke that I thought of. I was like, I'm definitely not saying this.
Okay. Well, great. Keep it in your brain.
No, you were saying you're like being challenged.
No, don't say whatever you want to say. Don't say. I don't want to know. Okay. Don't even tell me after the podcast. All right. I'm looking at the waveforms of this recording. It's just like all gone to the top. Anyway, what do you think? So I mean, Jesus Christ. What do you think about kind of like, so we're talking about work from home and in-house. What do you think about like other non-traditional kind of like working situations? So for example, we spoke about like being on set. I've also been lucky enough to visit set once. Where do you think that falls into this kind of equation? Or, you know, I guess some people kind of doing like, they do like traveling work and stuff where they like the art department will like travel with the director and stuff.
Yeah, I guess we can also talk about relocation within this thing.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, if sets were at the office, I would be even more happy to go to the office.
Yeah,
right?
Sets are amazing. It's such a cool experience.
It's like, you know, it's just like seeing what you've made and touch it.
Yeah, actually, when I was in Disneyland, it was so lame. Anyway, when I went to Disneyland, because I went to Paris a few weeks ago with my partner, it was one of the things that really struck me was like how much like a film set it was, like because everything was built. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it was really nice being able to go into these spaces where it was like the Avengers or whatever, and like physically being in that space rather than just illustrating that space for once. It's a really nice change of pace. I think it's also one of those things that probably attracts a lot of people to 3D is like the sense of being able to move around the design rather than just having a singular image of the design. It's a really lovely thing, I think.
It's awesome. And yeah, I think like also working, if you see the sets, you understand more of the designs of the sets. Yeah. Like if you can walk around, see what the lights are, see where the cameras are. Like it's crazy. Sometimes, you know, there's like a show and there's a whole episode and it looks like they just move every 5 minutes from different sets.
Yeah.
No, it's just one set that has been built in a very clever way and they can just film from like 5 angles and it's going to look every time different.
Yeah.
And it's like so clever, the tricks and stuff they do. And you know, like, and then when you get to actually work on a set, like as a concept artist, design a set, then you're like, okay, so you understand more that you need to have different areas and they need to look a bit different within the design so they can use it in many ways because budgets exist and it's not limited, and it's very interesting.
Or even the greatest trick of all, the volume, which is which was I got to go and see I think the biggest one in the UK when I visited set, and that was absolutely like mind blowing seeing that. I mean, I think actually, I don't know how much of it will really be used moving on, because I think obviously there are some limitations to using it, as cool as it is. But I mean, I was just like totally blown away with it. But I mean, I think what's interesting about working on set, I feel like we're excluding Stefan from this conversation. Do you have anything you want to say about working on set as a game artist?
No.
Did you ever travel into your video game?
Is there
no.
is there any
VR?
equivalent?
I think no, the only equivalent to
Motion
that
capture.
in a way. No. I think the real equivalent to that, the feeling of someone building something, is when you see it in the game, right? I know it's not the same as if when it's on the set, but when you design something and then it works, and like it, moves around. And I cannot really say what I've been designing, but let's say you design something and they add all the functions to it, and the player can interact with it, and that's very, very rewarding. I would say it's like, wow, it's this thing actually in the game. Wow, that I thought of.
Yes,
and
so
the other team as well.
Yeah, I think being on set is really, at the end of the day, it's essentially the same as being in the office, really, because you have to commute out there. You've got to just go and do your work.
Can you when you're on set, do you like? I mean, do you just sit?
I
looking at
don't.
the
I've
set?
only been there once.
I'm just asking.
When I was there, yeah, I just sat around because they were like,
Yes.
listen, boy, sit in the corner.
I think given our experience, we've just experienced sets as visitors.
Yeah.
And
I thought you did
Designs.
you were working there though, weren't you? For like a very short amount of time.
the office was on set.
Yeah, so you were.
But I didn't work on this. Like
I don't think anybody works actually on the set.
yeah.
That would be
But
stupid.
it was pretty cool because
But
you know
like you saw the set
like-
from your window, or was it just like?
it wasn't just next room.
Yeah, so it's like a separate facility.
I mean,
that
you know,
they'll have.
sets are massive.
Yeah.
Massive.
They're like
how do you call it?
aircraft hangars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cool. So cool. It's very cool. Go on sets, guys, if you can.
Yeah.
But and like also like just being able to go see the art department or like the props department, and they just like give you something you design and you just have it in your hands, and it's like being crafted by these amazing artists, and it's just very cool. Also, what do you want to say? I want to say,
I don't know.
yeah, I don't know either.
I've got another thing though. If you don't think of this, should we just have a moment of silence for Jules?
Yes,
everybody.
yes.
Yep. Me and Stefan have a separate conversation over here. How's your week been?
Been good, man. Been working a lot of stuff.
That's
at
cool,
work.
dude. Yeah.
I forgot about it, so we're gonna have to.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alright, well, that's the end
I'm
of it.
gonna
Bye,
remember about it in
Stefan.
like
I'm
10
ending
minutes.
this.
Anyway, we're gonna cut that, right?
No. We're not cutting anything.
I am.
You're going to cut that.
If you
Don't
listen
cut-
to it, if you
if you're
listen to
listening
it,
to
I
this.
did not cut it.
I mean, as like a final thing, kind of, because we're wrapping up and getting towards the end. Do you think that this like new kind of like, 'cause it is like a bit of a paradigm shift, really. Like, do you think this is going to change the industry as we know it moving forward? Because we've really only lived through a very small part of this, and I've heard some people online and also like in the wider world saying like, everybody will have to return the office in a few years. I've heard other people say all the offices are going to go out of business and stuff. Where do you guys kind of land on that?
I think it's just gonna stay like the hybrid workflow how it is now. I think every company, especially in games, they know how important it is to have an office and how almost impossible it is to make a game successfully when you're outside of the office, whilst the people still feel connected and feel like they're making something that matters. So I think that it's still gonna be this kind of hybrid workflow moving forward, at least in the games industry.
Yeah, I think hybrid is gonna become even more than now, and probably way less working from home entirely, because companies at the end of the day they pay for office, so they want people to come.
Yeah.
So if I would have to guess, like I don't know, let's say 30% of consumer artists work from home, or 50%. And I think in 10 years it's going to be 20% or less, because
Yeah.
people are just going to be, like once COVID is gone, if it's fully gone, hopefully, right? And nothing else happens, like companies are going to go back to normal and they're going to be like, well, guys, we're paying X thousands, hundreds of thousands for the office, so you have to come.
I would say but some people you cannot like. If we're talking specifically concept art industry, even now it's difficult to get like some very senior people to come to your office because they just know they can get any freelance gig.
Yeah, if
And,
somebody has enough
yeah.
leverage, they can get whatever they want. But I think that's always been the case. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think the difference is, I agree with Jules. I think that work from home will decrease over the next few years. I don't think it's going to go away. And this is kind of like, I hope it doesn't happen, just to clarify as well. Because I like the kind of, I guess, the power that artists have right now to kind of dictate their own timelines and stuff. But I think it probably will happen, yeah, because I think a lot of companies, they are able to demonstrate a certain amount of control over their employees from having them in the office. And I mean that in both kind of like, I don't know, I don't mean it in necessarily a negative aspect, but like in terms of like we were saying, like training juniors, like it's way more predictable when they're in the office. It's way easier to see how somebody's actually doing when you're in the office and how they're behaving and how they're interacting with people.
I think that also going to change how the interviews and how people get hired. I never had an in-person interview of my whole career.
You do get a lot of those at Shark Mob already.
Yeah, you have a lot. Yeah.
Like,
Did you have an in-person interview?
I've never had an in-person interview.
Never had either. So I believe this is going to change, and also it's way easier to know if someone is good if you meet them in person.
So wait, are you saying that you think there's going to be more or less in person?
More.
Oh, sorry, because there's so less right now. It's going to go back to normal. Yeah, I agree. I think it's that thing of like looking someone in the eyes and getting a good judge of their character.
At Shark Mob we do a lot of interviews, I think, and then you have an in-person interview as well, just so you can see the office and people can see you. Yeah.
I mean, it is interesting, and it'll be interesting to see kind of how this shapes the industry. I think we're going to see a lot more kind of international collaboration, which I think is really positive, honestly. I think it's going to be a lot easier for artists from Europe and America to collaborate, or from anywhere, but those are two major hubs. So I think that's really great, and I hope that doesn't go away, because that's obviously been a very beneficial kind of side effect from all of this.
Yeah, COVID clearly had only negative points, but I think if something the industry, I mean, I'm not going to say COVID is good at all, right? But if something the industry benefited from long term is that now employers, they didn't have the choice to just look in the eye the fact that people work fine from home, and it's possible if you adapt to it.
It's true, yeah, because a lot of
I think that's
time,
something that was beneficial.
Yeah, for many years, the conversation and the presumption was that people just wouldn't be able to work from home. And it's kind of been proven the other way that a lot of people work better working from home. I think, like, again, from my personal thing, I think, like, it's a more predictable thing to have a mix. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it'll be interesting to see how it changes. Obviously, this has also dictated a lot of the learning and also the development of a lot of people. I'm sure that our development has been like wildly different because we weren't in the office, and it'll be interesting to see how like the kind of next generation of artists that are like coming up in the industry actually develop their skills. And to see if it has any effect at all on them, because maybe they all end up way better than everybody else, or maybe it affects them negatively in some way. But
we're all going to be in the metaverse.
We're all going to be in the metaverse. Yeah,
we're all going to have VR headsets on.
I do love my VR headset
without any legs.
You love your VR headset.
It's great.
I like my.
I wouldn't.
You like your legs.
Like,
I don't think Jules was saying you would chop off your legs.
Oh, okay.
I think you meant in the
I would.
You would chop off your legs to be closer to your metaverse character. Yeah,
I'm gonna do a massive amount of surgery.
I mean, even
to look like a Weemy character.
It's interesting that like one of the big things that like propped up VR as well. I feel like I'm opening a new conversation right at the end, but like. There's so many tools that have been developed for people working collaboratively from home via VR. And that's interesting to see how that stuff will develop as well, because I'm sure there will be a point where
I think
like...
there's... sorry.
No, go on.
There's like AR stuff as well. There's being like,
Yeah.
I think
Apple is going to release
I'll say even more
soon-ish a crazy new VR stuff.
I would say-
Rumors, I don't know, but I think... And, it's the kind of company that has the real power, not like Meta. They have the real power to change things.
Yeah.
And basically because they go the AR route, which is much
I
more
don't really like AR
doable.
personally,
Yeah, but VR, I personally don't believe VR will ever have the importance that Meta wants.
I
it to
don't
have.
think AR or VR will ever be completely mass adopted personally, because I think a lot of people just don't need it in their lives.
I think AR has a higher chance of being
AR?
massive.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because AR
Absolutely.
is just an addition to what we have. It doesn't replace it.
Yeah,
and,
but then...
and Apple is the kind of company that I'm not
you're
at
right.
all an Apple fan, by the way. They're a company, I don't mind them.
Yeah.
But do we have to acknowledge the kind of company that release a new thing or release something that already exists, but they just make it that everyone wants it now, and they make it, you know.
I guess one thing though to always consider is that, like, you know, as much as we all love our technology, I would say, you know, one of the big conversations that people have these days is about having too much technology, and it'll be interesting to see. Even I think this also plays into the work from home versus in house. It's that like human versus like non-human aspect, and you know, personally, I hope that, you know, and this applies to like everything, whether it be AI art or, you know, how much time you spend in the metaverse, how much time you spend online or whatever. I hope that like that human aspect kind of like wins out a little bit more, because I think that's one of the like essential things in life, in my personal opinion. That is just my opinion.
Fully agree.
Yeah, I think
art is something humans do.
Yeah. Oh wait, no, we don't need to go into a full argument about it. I was just trying to end on like a positive, nice note.
Well, I'm gonna launch the argument.
Yeah, right. Second part of the episode, AI.
Yeah, it's just people understand people, and they want to have that warmth.
Yeah.
Of the other person, you know, understanding them and creating a relationship, I guess.
In
At the
conclusion,
end,
people
humans
are
are
nice.
humans are social animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Jules, he likes being at home.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm some sort of gorilla. I don't know. I'm
Some sort of gorilla.
No, I'm a dwarf. I'm a dwarf actually.
You're a dwarf.
Yeah.
Great. A
Let's go with
dwarf
that.
gorilla. Anyway, I think we've reached the end for today's episode.
Yes.
We really hope you enjoyed listening. And if you want more, please feel free to like and subscribe, or if you're on Spotify, to follow the Spotify page. We release episodes every 2 weeks, and if you want more additional information about the podcast or the event, be sure to check out our Instagrams linked in the description below. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon. Bye.